Hey everyone, Rho here. Today we discuss the Wolves of Fenris relationship with their new successor chapters. General spoiler warning to begin, as the events we're discussing today are from across the Warhammer 40k universe, as well as a specific one for the short story The Wolves of Raukos by Guy Hayley. As always, I really recommend you read the stories for yourself first, as that's the best way to enjoy the lore for yourself. But with that said, let's just jump straight in. Alone of all the first founding chapters, the former Great Legions, the Space Wolves chapter has remained apart. When the appointed Lord Commander Roboute Guilliman implemented his codex, the former legions bestriding the stars were broken by choice. Never again would the betrayal of one cause such devastation to the Imperium. As we know, this was not a decision without controversy. The Primarch brothers were equally split upon the issue. The Imperium once again teetered dangerously to the brink of civil war. However, at the last, Rogel Dawn relented his opposition, and the forces opposed accepted Guilliman's Codex Astartes. Well, mostly. While they were split into just one successor, the Wolf Brothers chapter, the Space Wolves, as we know, have never met most of Guilliman's Codex mandates. Their numbers as a so-called chapter have always far exceeded the regulated 1,000, and the territory of the Wolves has always acted as an independent authority. The Wolf Brothers' fate has always been one shrouded in no small amount of mystery, and so it was the Space Wolves alone remained the sole first founding chapter with no fellow successors. They alone were the mark of Russ's legacy, until of course came a certain Belisarius call. With the Ultima founding unleashing the Primaris creations across the stars, the Sons of Russ were met by successor chapters for the first time in nigh on 10,000 years. The great Logan Grimnar was met with a situation not seen since Leman Russ himself led the chapter. Now we saw Grimnar's reaction to the Primaris in the Dawn of Fire novel The Wolf Time by Gav Thorpe, which was a tense time to say the least. Ultimately, the Great Wolf would see the spirit of Russ within these new creations and accepted them into his brotherhood. As we saw from the Space Wolves Codex, Grimnar would also extend welcome to all the new successor chapters created from their lineage. While they may not be of Fenris, they do share the blood of Russ, and as such were their kin. Now Grimnar's motives were pure in this. However, for me there was undoubtedly a political motivation behind it too. Regardless of which Primarch the Primaris may be descended from, the truth is, with the training and indoctrination they undergo at the hands of Belisarius, all the Primaris are far closer to Guilliman's vision and ideal than any of their true legacies. These new Primaris may have had the blood of Russ, but they were more akin to the Lord Commander Roboute Guilliman. In his own chapter, Grimnar had the Primaris who arrived upon Fenris stripped of their codex ranks and markings and incorporated into the ways of the Wolves. With his pronouncement of recognition and acceptance of the new successor chapters, Grimnar ensured their true heritage and legacy would always be known, that all Sons of Russ would be loyal to his name. For regardless if Roboute Guilliman walks the stars, the Wolves of Fenris answer to none, save the Wolf King Leman Russ and the Allfather himself, the Emperor of mankind. And we've finally begun to get glimpses into how Grimnar is going about establishing these relationships within the novel The Successors, a Space Marine anthology. There's a short story named The Wolves of Raukos by Guy Hayley, and obviously spoiler warning as we continue. Now here we see the Space Wolf Successor chapter, the Wolf Spear, upon their homeworld, fending off a demonic assault that comes in the darkness of night. And at the end of the battle they receive word of a contingent of space wolves arriving, and so returning to their fortress monastery, they give the due and proper respect of a parade lineup to greet their arrivals. Again, a little more of a Guilliman trait than a Russ one. As it turns out, their guest is a wolf priest by the name of Ulfreyr, and he's been sent as an envoy by Logan Grimnar himself. He reveals that Grimnar is sending an envoy or representative to every single one of the newly created Space Wolf Successors. Now Ulfreyr is your typical Fenrisian, so he doesn't exactly beat around the bush, and the first interaction with Senevale the Chapter Master is a little frosty to say the least. No pun intended. However, again interestingly, it's worth noting he's titled Chapter Master rather than Great Wolf, and even the way he speaks feels far more like an Ultramarine or Imperial Fist. However, Ulfreyr reveals to Senevale he's here because they are sons of Russ, and Grimnar wants to know if they are worthy of the honour, if they can be called true sons of Fenris. And the Chapter Master is understandably a little apprehensive at first, stating Grimnar doesn't have the power to command the Successors, and wary Ulfreyr would only mock them and judge them harshly. However, it's then we get to see a real glimpse into the truth of why Grimnar has sent out these envoys, why his wolf priests are traversing the stars. Ulfreyr admits yes, there is a little judgment, but that they're here to help them, and there's a really telling line where Ulfreyr states being a son of Russ is not like being a son of Guilliman. And that for me is so important, because Grimnar knows these Primaris are essentially sons of Guilliman in all but blood. And this is what we are seeing. Yes, they have the blood of Russ, but they've been taught to think, to fight, to act like Guilliman, and Grimnar wants to change that. If there are fellow sons of Russ out there, then yes, Grimnar wants to help them realise their lineage, but undoubtedly he wants to ensure their loyalty to Fenris, above any other, especially Guilliman. Now, as their conversation continues, we get confirmation that Call's indoctrination process for the minds of the Primaris is exactly the same regardless of their gene seed. Whether they're sons of Russ, the Lion, Vulcan or Jagatai, they are all indoctrinated the same. One day I really think we may just have to ask why, because I don't think it'll reflect too well on Guilliman when his brothers begin to return. Now for the Wolf Spear in particular, a few of them have come from Fenris, but most of them haven't. They are just recruits from all over the Imperium, and it's clear Senevale and his chapter actually want to know more of their heritage, and so he accepts the Wolf Priest's offer. If you haven't read the story, I do recommend it, particularly if you are a Space Wolf fan. Not only are there some nice insights, but there's some real funny moments as well, as you feel the character of the true Space Wolves against the rather new Wolfspear, and you can almost sense the inner nature fighting against everything they were taught to be. However, again, we later once more see the truth of Grimnar's intent, and as much as it was about teaching these newcomers their true heritage, which again I truly believe it was, there was quite clearly for me more motivation behind it. In the aftermath of battle, once Ulfreyr has fought beside his new Wolfspear kin, he confirms they are men of the Vilka Fenrika, the Wolves of Fenris, and the Wolfspear are reinforced with Primaris recruits from Fenris itself, quite a substantial amount, enough to bolster them up to the Codex 1000. Not only is Grimnar fostering the bonds of a shared heritage, teaching his new kin the truth of their legacy, but he's also reinforcing these new chapters, with recruits from Fenris itself. As of the end of the Wolftime novel, we know the Space Wolves absolutely have the numbers to do so, numbering well into the thousands, even possibly rivaling the strength of their former legion. If there's one way to ensure the bonds of brotherhood and loyalty, reinforcing the new chapters with recruits from your own forces is most certainly the best way to ensure it. For me, this is a very suave political move by Grimnar here. In one hand, teaching these newcomers of the truth of their heritage, turning their eyes from worshipping Guilliman to realizing the true nature of Russ, and in the other hand bolstering their chapters with those who have been upon Fenris itself, not only enhancing that truth of heritage, but also really strengthening that bond and loyalty to him and Fenris. With every Space Wolf Successor chapter receiving reinforcements from Fenris, there is little doubt that Grimnar has ensured a much greater bond than there ever would have been before. As much as the chapter masters may remain their own masters, there's absolutely no way this action wouldn't greatly endear them to Grimnar. In every way, it's an absolute masterstroke. Honestly, it really makes me want to see how the other first founding chapter masters are interacting and dealing with their new Ultima founding kin. Of course, it is a little different for them having already have had successors out there, but still it'd definitely be interesting to see. I think Azrael of the Dark Angels is definitely top of the list. How did he really go about bringing in these new chapters to the Unforgiven? I'd really love to see that from Azrael's point of view within a novel. But as always guys, what do you think? Is Grimnar's move in sending out representatives to each of the Ultima founding chapters the right move to make? Why do you feel he's going to such lengths to teach these new chapters the truth of their heritage? Does he realise their loyalty lies more with Guilliman than their true Primarch in Russ? And in reinforcing their numbers with his own Primaris, is he really ensuring the success of his manoeuvres? And what other first founding chapters would you love to see interacting with their Ultima founding newbies? The White Scars, the Salamanders, the Raven Guard, the Iron Hands. For me, they would all be absolutely fascinating reads. So who would be your preferred choices? But as always, leave your thoughts in the comments below, I love to read them. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. And if you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. If you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too? But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.